Welcome back. Today we do a quick one on the Tipsy M1. So the M1, the one stands for single dynamic driver. It's a little bit new for Tipsy. I don't know if they have another single dynamic driver, but they do have others in the M series which have more drivers or in hybrid configuration. So this one is a little bit unique in that it is the single dynamic driver. And I think they do have kind of a philosophy on that, whether it's one driver or multiple drivers. They all serve a purpose or something like that. Well, I think it actually have in my notes what they said about it. So very cool. It is a very, very nice faceplate as well. Those kind of blue, green, and black highlights kind of shimmer. Really, really nicely done faceplate. The cable, not a fan of the cable. It tangles too easily, but it definitely gets the job done. And it is QDC as well. So you can kind of see that as well. If you have other QDC cables, might want to swap them in. I don't know. Every time I touch the cable, it seems to tangle on itself. So I'm not even going to touch it. So when we look at the graph on Tipsy M1, this one was really a bit hard to look at. If you're just kind of a graph person, you look at it, you're like, well, that could be kind of a nice bassy banger style set. It's got a really nice bass shelf that kind of goes up there to about 10 dB. Nice gliding arc through the mid bass, and then it kind of has this early rise into the upper mids, and then it goes downhill again through the treble. I mean, this could have been a really nice bassy, hard-hitting set, but when you listen to it, it's actually quite different, and I'll kind of explain what's kind of going on there. But we'll start with the top, right? So what is it? It's an $80 custom dynamic driver. They call it a bamboo fiber dynamic driver. So they call it the world's first. I'm not sure maybe it's the world's first bamboo, but there have certainly been other wood drivers. This one just happens to be bamboo. And the marketing does say M1 single dynamic driver unlocks that punchy elastic lows, rich natural mids, and crystal clear highs. But more importantly, when I looked at the graph originally, like they really needed a punchy style driver to really pull off that bass shelf. That's what they delivered. So of that kind of the marketing, I think that was the most important to me was, yeah, this was indeed a nice punchy driver. But the bottom line on this set, when you look at the graph and then actually hear it, I'll say that the most important part is that arrow right there. That arrow really shows those forward mids, those forward vocals. So while the graph resembles a banger with a great bass shelf, the most noticeable part is those vocals and how they come forward a little bit. So yeah, this is one of these graphs that I was just kind of thrown off. It sounded very different than what I thought it was going to sound like. And I say that in a good way. They actually did a really, really nice job with this vocal forward style with that bass shelf. And I'll explain why it looks the way it does. So the bass, it does look like a big bass set, but that shelf really supports the vocals more than leading itself, right? This isn't a bass-led set, but that bass does provide really, really nice support to the mids. It's really the natural mids line that they talk about in the marketing. For those of you who love bass to support the mids and not distract from the vocals, this is what this kind of tuning should sound like. Really, really well done. And again, I'll say that it looks like a bass-led set, and you can listen to some harder bass-led genres like hip-hop, but it's actually not that style set. The important part is where those vocals rise early, and that really takes center stage of what this presents as. So the mids, also hard to get from the graph. It's just one of the few sets at this price point that really hits male vocals really well. This could have gone like horribly wrong, right? They kind of rose really early. That could have been very forward, very bright, quite shouty. Lots of things could have gone wrong, but as I said, most of that bass shelf is dedicated to providing a proper lower mid. Those male vocals come across really, really nicely on this set simply because that bass shelf is shaped the way it is, the way it kind of glides into the mids, the way this comes up forward. This took a really, really good ear to pull off this style balance and to make those male vocals sound the way that they do. Second right move, they rise early for that vocal forward, but then you drop off really quickly through the treble. So the vocals are very separated, front and center on a spacious stage. Again, a lot of this set is hard to see from the graph. It's all there when you listen to it, but just to look at the graph, it doesn't quite it's very different than what I thought it was going to sound like. And the amount of space and stage that you get from the vocals and how the bass kind of supports the vocals from the bottom, how the treble is lowered so the vocals have this kind of big stage that aren't crowded, just kind of front and center the way vocals should be. Again, Tipsy does have this kind of professional background of vocal monitoring and all those things, and it comes across in this vocal presentation. And not many companies have really pulled off this style tuning in the way that they did. So yeah, this one kind of surprised me in a totally different way than I thought it was going to surprise me. So treble, very interesting vocal forward. Then you drop the treble level, so it gives those vocals the proper space. They're not crowded, very separated, very layered. It's very well done from their point of view, and you don't hear it often at this price point. As I said, you know, this took a lot of, I think, Tipsy's experience in the past with their other sets, put it into a dynamic driver, and sort of execute a point of view that they thought was going to be appealing to their customers and certain styles of music. And man, they did a really, really good point of view that you just don't find often at a price point that they kind of pulled this all off at. Nitpick, early risers, kind of where that arrow is, they tend to not be volume scalers. And I'll say that's exactly what happens here as well. It's really, really nice that the vocals are forward. They're very clear. They have this space around them. But if you turn up the volume, they tend to come a little bit too forward. So not that much of a surprise if you think about that graph. These early rising sets are just not going to scale in volume as much as kind of a lower rise or a later rise. So that would be my one nitpick on the M1. But otherwise, a really, really nicely done kind of a set that kind of stands out a little bit at the price point because it does something in a unique way. Got the male vocals right, got this early rise right, got the whole treble downhill right. Lots of things right on a set that didn't really expect it just looking at the graph. So thank you guys again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.